Introduction to algae biofuel. What is algae biofuel? Algae biofuels are fuels made from tiny plant-like organisms called microalgae. These organisms grow quickly, don't need farmland, and can store large amount of oils that we can turn into biodiesel, renewable diesel, or even jet fuel. Algae are important in biofuel research because they can grow in places crops cannot. They don't compete with food production either. How algae are grown. Algae can be grown in two main ways. One, open ponds are large, shallow pools that are cheaper but more exposed to contamination, or closed systems made of tubes or panels that allow better control and higher productivity, but they cost more. Both systems need sunlight, water, nutrients, and source of carbon dioxide. How fuel is made. After algae grows, they are harvested and processed. If the goal of is biodiesel, the lipids are extracted and chemically converted into fuel. Another method heats wet algae under pressure to create a crude oil-like liquid. Algae, algae with high carbohydrate levels can also be fermented to produce ethanol or other fuels similar to how yeast ferments sugar. The current development status, it's in research. It hasn't produced at a large scale. However, algae fuels are not widely available on the commercial fuel market because the cost of producing them is still too high compared to fossil fuels. Here, carbon footprint impact. Algae biofuels have the potential to greatly reduce greenhouse because algae absorbs CO2 as they grow. When low carbon electricity, water waste nutrients, and recycled CO2 are used, the total carbon footprint can be much lower than the petroleum. However, if a lot of fossil energy is used for drying or processing the algae, the carbon benefits can decrease. This means systems designed is very important. So there is still a huge development going on. Economic impact. They are currently very expensive to produce. They need a cheaper harvesting and larger scale, but it could create new green jobs. Economically, algae biofuels are promising but still expensive to produce. Many projects rely on selling other products like proteins or pigments to balance cost. Government agencies, universities, and companies share updates with the public through outreach events, reports, and educational campaigns to help people understand the potential of algae fuels and the challenges that still need to be solved. Public communication efforts. This would be the government letting the community know the updates and how far they've come along with algae growth. So here's just a little plant with algae growing. Right now, the current analysis shows strong potential, but needs more research, better technology, and larger facilities. If funding was not a problem, the best plan would be to create large-scale algae farms linked to water waste plants and carbon industries powered by renewable energy. This would prove the technology at full scale and help move algae fuel closer to commercial use. The recommended next steps would be to build more pilot plants, improve algae strains and harvesting techniques, use renewable energy in production as well. If funding was unlimited, it would be best to build global large-scale algae test sites, self-coat products to reduce field costs, develop low-energy harvesting techniques, and high-efficiency algae strains. And then here's just the sources that I found this information.